I noticed something that was very surprising to me, namely, there were traces of earlier inscriptions.
This discovery, in my opinion, is the most important discovery on the 21st century.
Time and time again, the land of Egypt has made the news for its advances in technology and human development, but most importantly, shocking mysteries that still confuse the world. Across the sprawling desert sands of the beautiful country are mysteries that tell a unique story about Egypt and our collective human history. Join us as we show you our top 15 surprising discoveries in Egypt. Number 15. Nefertiti statue. We begin our list with one of the most notable finds in ancient Egypt, the discovery of the Nefertiti statue. In 1912, the bust of Nefertiti was found in Amarna by a German archaeological team. The main document that talks about this incredible find is Borchardt's notebook. When the discovery was made, the German and Egyptian authorities got into a bitter squabble over its repatriation. Let's talk a little about Nefertiti. Nefertiti is a woman who is shrouded in mystery, but many believe that she may have been from a royal lineage. Others also believe that she was a visiting princess or a child of Ai. Ai was a high-ranking government official who succeeded Tutankhamun as king. It is believed by some quarters that Nerfititi died in the 12th year of Akhenaten's rule. But research has shown that the mystery queen was hale and hearty in the 16th year of her husband's rule. After her husband's death, Queen Nefertiti became a monarch over Egypt for a while. Here is a brief description of the Egyptian bust of Nefertiti. The Egyptian bust of Nefertiti stands 1 feet 6.898 inches tall. On the top, there is a limestone core with painted stucco layers. The face of the statue is almost symmetrical. The left eye doesn't have the inlay the right one has, and the right eye's pupil consists of implanted quartz painted black and sealed with beeswax. The eye socket has a plain limestone backdrop. Number 14. Long tunnel. Egyptian archaeologists have discovered a long tunnel in Taposiris Magna Temple. The tunnel is carved into the rock, and it goes very deep, 42 feet below the ground. Imagine getting lost in such a deep tunnel. Absolutely scary. In the tunnel, various artifacts were found. Among them are statues of deities, coins, and statues with no head. The tunnel isn't just deep, it is also very long. A statement released by the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism puts the tunnel length at 4,300 feet. It is believed that the tunnel may also help discover the lost tomb of Cleopatra and her lover, Mark Antony. However, some think the tunnel would lead to no such discovery. We would have to wait and see. However, if it does lead to the discovery of Cleopatra's tomb, scientists believe that it would be the most important discovery of this century. Number 13. Egypt's oldest tomb. The necropolis of Kubet el-Hawa is one of the most ancient tombs in Egypt. This tomb was discovered by researchers from the University of Malaga, UMA, and the University of Jaen, UJA. The most exciting thing about this tomb is that it is aligned with the winter solstice. The tomb in the necropolis of Kubet el-Hawa in Aswan is perfectly oriented towards the sunrise of the winter solstice. So, during the winter solstice, the tomb is bathed with light, giving it such an otherworldly outlook. The tomb is the final resting place of a governor of Elephantine who lived during the end of the 14th dynasty, around 1830 BC. The alignment of the tomb with the winter solstice allows it to track the solar cycle, which links the tomb to the concept of rebirth. The triumph of light over darkness is symbolic of the winter solstice, and the summer solstice coincides with the annual flooding of the Nile. The winter and summer solstice hold significant meaning and symbolize the resurrection of the dead governor. Number 12. Colorful tombs. In the Saqqara necropolis, archaeologists have discovered tombs that don't resemble what we would typically not see in Egyptian tombs. The tombs that were found are unusually colorful, and they are believed to have been buried more than 2,500 years ago. According to Mustafa Waziri, Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Antiquities, the coffins discovered are more than 80. The colorful coffins are believed to have dated back to Egypt's 26th dynasty, and they are highly decorated and inscribed with hieroglyphs. When the coffins were found, most still contained mummies thought to have been priests. Other artifacts discovered on the site are 28 colored and gilded wooden statuettes of Ptah Sokar, a god of the necropolis. Also, a bronze statuette of Nefertiti, which represented the lotus blossom from which the sun god rose, was found on the site. Number 11. Tutankhamun's trumpet. In 1939, a story broke out in the newspapers that a silver trumpet found inside the tomb of Tutankhamun was to be heard for the first time. Tutankhamun's trumpet was one of two discovered in the antechamber. One trumpet was around 1 foot 7.685 inches, and the other 1 foot 10.835 inches. The body of the short copper trumpet was made using a rolled tube, which expanded in bore size. Buried side by side with the trumpet were 5,000 unique objects. The gold mask of Tutankhamun is very popular, but the other artifacts discovered alongside aren't as popular. Unlike a modern trumpet, Tutankhamun's trumpet is short and has no valves. The mouthpiece of the trumpet has a cylindrical sleeve with a silver ring. Tutankhamun's trumpet and the other found alongside have been played in recent times. The lowest notes that could be sounded on the trumpet are D and C. The purpose of Tutankhamun's trumpet isn't yet known. Although some researchers believe that it was used for military purposes, the figure of the three gods seen on the bell suggests that they may have indeed been used for battle. The three gods were the tutelary deities of 3 out of 4 divisions of the army of Ramesses II at the Battle of Kadesh, about 1275 BC, only about 75 years after Tutankhamun's death. Their names and epithets are written in hieroglyphs. Number 10. 100 forgotten coffins. The antiquities officials have discovered almost 100 coffins in South Cairo. Some of these coffins have mummies inside, although the identity of the mummies isn't known. When archaeologists opened one of the coffins, they saw a well-preserved mummy wrapped in clothes. They carried out an X-ray on the mummy to show how the body has been kept well over the years, and its incredible preservation wowed the scientists. Khaled El-Anani, the Tourism and Antiquities Minister of Egypt, says that items discovered date back to the Ptolemaic dynasty, a dynasty that ruled Egypt for about 300 years, from about 320 BC to 30 BC. Khaled noted that artifacts would be moved to 3 Cairo museums, including the Grand Egyptian Museum. The discovery of these coffins makes us realize that we don't know as much about Egypt as we thought. Number 9. Mummified crocodiles. Ever seen a mummified crocodile? If you haven't, you are about to see one. In 2018, archaeologists discovered a Byzantine-era dump. One peculiar thing about these crocodiles is that they were not treated using resin, just as other mummies in its time were. The finding of these mummified crocodiles has allowed researchers to study crocodiles and understand how these animals lived in their times. The species of crocodiles were found from 10 adult ones. These spectacular crocodiles are believed to be the terrifying Nile crocodiles, which span about 6 to 11.5 feet. Their remains were dug up from a tomb at Qubat al-Hawa on the west bank of the Nile River. Researchers say that these crocodiles probably died because of the desert sun or thirst. They didn't show any sign of being murdered. In ancient Egypt, crocodiles were highly revered and they were considered to be gods. Some of the gods that crocodiles were associated with include Sobek, the lord of the crocodiles. Crocodile mummies were made to appease the gods and gain their favor. When these crocodile mummies were mummified, ancient Egyptians removed moisture from them using agents such as natron, and the corpses were covered with resin and bandage wrappings. Number 8. The spinning statue. The next astonishing artifact from Egypt on our list is a statue that has confused archaeologists and scientists. A 10-inch tall statue named Nebo Sanu is seen spinning on its own in a display case. Different attempts have been made to try and explain why this statue behaves in such a strange manner. One of the most popular explanations for the statue's strange behavior is that the vibrations of people passing the store are causing it to move and shake. However, Ken Price, an Egyptologist, has a more mystical explanation for it. Ken Price believes statues, such as the Nebo Sanu, act as some conduit for spirits when their primary abode, mummies, are destroyed. A time-lapse video played at the museum where the spinning statues were kept shows them moving slowly during the day and remaining still at night. The video also doesn't show anyone moving the figures. We must admit that a statue slowly moving on its own is very creepy. The 180-degree movement, The statue stops after that point. Appears to be a new phenomenon. According to the statue curator, the statue has been in the museum's collection for 80 years. Number 7. USHABTI. USHABTIs are just like mummified human figures. These USHABTIs usually have their arms crossed over their chest, giving them a distinct look. Clay and wood are some of the materials that are used to make USHABTIs. However, faience were the most common materials that were used in making them. Faience were easily obtainable in ancient Egypt and used in making objects ranging from vessels to jewelry. We know that you may be wondering what these figurines represented. According to Egyptian beliefs, when the deceased got to the afterlife, the USHABTIs would also come to life and perform any menial tasks that the deceased might be asked to do. Agriculture was a big part of life for ancient Egyptians, so they believed that in the afterlife, agriculture would still be a thing. So most USHABTIs are depicted holding agricultural tools, such as hoes, bags, or seeds. To ensure that the USHABTIs knew what to do when their owners got the afterlife, ancient Egyptians would inscribe a short spell from the Book of the Dead. This spell was designed to bring the USHABTI to life and gave the USHABTI instructions for performing work on behalf of the deceased. Number 6. Ancient Priest. The statue of Khafre was found in excellent condition in his tomb within the Saqqara necropolis. It dates back to the 5th dynasty of the Old Kingdom. This statue is known as Sheikh el-Balad. It is one of the oldest masterpieces of the private statuary of the ancient kingdom. Sheikh el-Balad is an Arabic name given to him by Mariette's workers because of its striking resemblance to the familiar figure of their modern village chief. However, the actual person that this statue depicts is a man called Ka'aper, the chief lector priest. The chief lector priest is in charge of reciting prayers for the deceased in funeral temples, chapels, and temples. The arm of this statue was modeled separately and attached to the body. Before the new remodeling of the statue, he once held a scepter in his right hand and a tall stick in the left. The eyes of the statue are inlaid with rock crystal and quartz. The statue is carved from sycamore wood, which is surprising how it survived for so long. Alongside the Ka'aper statue was a statue of a woman, also carved in wood. She is thought to be Ka'aper's wife. Number 5. Ancient Bones. While working on an excavation site in Fayum, a team from the Center of Egyptological Research of the Russian Academy of Sciences, CE1RAS, stumbled upon bones that can only be described as puzzling. The bones they discovered are that of a child surrounded by 142 dogs. What are the bones of a child doing surrounded by dogs? And even more disturbing, the child seemed to have a linen bag wrapped over her head. The team that discovered these bones has said that it is a burial practice that was alien in ancient Egypt. The theory that the team has come up with is that the burial of the child and the dogs was possibly a practice imported by the strangers who lived on the land then. On the dogs' bones, blue clay was discovered, which gives us a hint as to what happened to the dogs. Blue clay was easily found in ancient Egyptian reservoirs, which led researchers to postulate that these dogs probably died because of a flood. The dogs show no signs of a violent death, which makes the theory of them being killed by a flood even more probable. Number 4. The Headless Falcon. A 1700-year-old falcon shrine has been discovered in Berenike. In a part of the shrine, a puzzling message can be seen, which reads, "It is improper to boil a head in here." In the shrine, about 15 headless falcon stones can be seen. 2 stone monuments depict gods that are not yet known. Researchers say that these falcons may represent live sacrifices made to the gods of the shrine. When the researchers moved to the next room in the shrine, they found a pillar inscribed, "It is improper to boil a head in here." The inscription on the pillar is linked to the fact that the falcons sacrificed in the shrines were killed through beheading, and that the people in charge of the sacrifices in the temple didn't want people boiling the head of the falcons in that part of the temple. Number 3. Greek Temple. It may sound strange, but a Greek temple has recently been found in Egypt. The temple of Zeus Casios was uncovered at the archaeological site of Tel El Farma. Tel El Farma was known in Roman times as Pelusius. The discovery of this ancient temple was announced by Egypt's Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities after an excavation team dug at the temple's entrance and found 2 collapsed granite columns. Zeus Cassios is a joining of the Greek god Zeus and Mount Cassios, located in Syria. There are tales of Zeus fighting and defeating Typhon on Mount Cassios. The collapsed granite columns that are at the entrance of the temple are said to have collapsed after an earthquake. Corinthian capitals were also found at the entrance. These Corinthian capitals may have been incorporated into later churches built where the temple once stood. This discovery proves that Egypt wasn't as monocultural as we previously thought. Number 2. Missing tooth. Thanks to the help of a missing tooth, the long-sought-after mummy of Hatshepsut has been identified. Hatshepsut ruled Egypt for over 3,000 years and was regarded as a great ruler. The missing tooth was found in the Valley of the Kings. The Valley of the Kings is where the mummy of King Tutankhamun was also discovered. Hatshepsut was the second woman in the history of ancient Egypt to have assumed the throne. She was the daughter of King Thutmosis I, and she also married her half-brother. When Hatshepsut gave birth to her son, she ruled as regent on his behalf. However, she soon schemed into the throne, effectively taking it away from him. When she died, her mummy went missing. KV-60 was a tomb discovered in a bid to find Hatshepsut. KV-60 contained the mummy of 2 women, and in the tomb's wooden box, a tooth was found. When the dentist was called in to examine the tooth, they discovered that the tooth fitted the mouth of Hatshepsut perfectly. Number 1. Mystery Lady. Ever seen a pregnant mummy? A Polish scientist team has discovered the only known pregnant mummy. The pregnant mummy was found at a Warsaw Mummy Project. The Warsaw Mummy Project aims to use technology to scan ancient artifacts, finding the hidden truths about them. When the pregnant mummy was discovered, it was first thought to be a male priest. Imagine the shock on the faces of the scientists when they found out that this wasn't a priest, but a pregnant mummy. When the team carried out scans on the mummy, alas, it was a woman in the latter stages of pregnancy. The team also postulates the mummy probably belonged to a woman and that she was high class when she was alive. The scans also put her age between 20 to 30 years old when she died. Scientists scanned the head of the fetus, and they determined that it was perhaps between 26 and 36 weeks old when its mother died. The circumstances surrounding the death of the fetus's mother are still a mystery. We don't know how much more mystery the ancient land of Egypt holds, but we are expecting to see some more as the years go by. What do you think will be the next big thing coming out of Egypt? Let us know in the comments section. Before you go, give us a like and turn on your notifications so that when we post a new video, you'll be the first to know.